So I'm Tiana Smith with tianasmithcoaching.com and the Seven Figure Club. I'll introduce Grace in a moment. And today's training is a part of our Master Your Mind to Master Your Business Online podcast and YouTube series. We'd love you to come subscribe to us over on YouTube. Just search Tiana Smith Coaching. And then to find the podcast, just whether it's Spotify or Apple, it's Tiana Smith, and Master Your Mind to Master Your Business Online. If you're not already subscribed, we would love to have a nice review and some insights and any takeaways. I think we usually have a poll. It's pretty fun. So we're really working on growing that, revving up here at the end of the year and into the next year. But really, marketing and living is best lived one day at a time, which is why we focus on habits and systems. And Grace, are you ready?
I am all set.
All right. So today, if you don't know Grace, I'll introduce Grace and she can say something too. Grace is my right-hand woman in the Seven Figure Club. She is our community director. She also helps with design and funnels and really is just very coachable and ready to tackle anything. And so just super sweet, graceful. Her name is Grace. It's the perfect epitome of her, and strong. And I'm just so grateful she's on my team and my friend. So Grace, happy to have you today.
Thank you so much. And I'm so grateful to be here and to work with you and all of our amazing clients. Like seriously, every single day, I'm just incredibly grateful and always so excited.
I know, it's so good. It really is always so good. So today we're going to take turns. We're going to share a screen. We kind of map this out, and we're going to walk you through the 7 ways we use Trello to not only scale our business and to stay on track. We are a small but mighty team. So usually it's me and Grace to give you a little behind the scenes on why we came to Trello. Is I've used other programs myself, like Asana, and we use still other systems like Google Drive and WhatsApp, but we found that those were lacking on the big picture. How do we stay on track for not just client tasks and making sure that these things, nothing goes missing, but also for our own business, right? Like marketing and big picture goals and just able to tag each other. So we settled on Trello for our team. Cool. What about you, Grace? Do you love Trello, or how do you feel about it?
Because it seems to work with our creative processes or just how our brains work. Like use whatever software works for you, but this just seems to pretty much parallel how we think and we love it. We don't have to try to conform to some other software and how they organize it. It works with our scheduling, like our processes, and that's why we love it.
Yeah. So I'm going to share my screen, and I couldn't have said it better. I love that she says, you can kind of choose things. So we've got this open. So you can see I usually have lots of tags open. If you're a solopreneur or small team business owner like us, there's usually a lot going on. I will also just give a side note tip, which is organizing, your menu items down here. If you have an Apple, if you have a PC, I don't know what to tell you, but if you have an Apple, make sure you organize your dash. Just side note on organization, because really Trello is about us staying organized so that we can hit our goals faster and not stressed out, because we can look at everything. So we also have a timer. Do you want to tell them about our timer, Grace, before we begin? That we both work on.
Yes, our timer, what do you call it? It starts with the P, the
Pomodoro.
The Pomodoro method, our timer. This is because you can get an analysis paralysis and try to get everything so perfect and spend hours on something that should take you 5 minutes. We love timers, so we'll set it, we're in, and then once it goes off, sometimes we just shake, and we might have to reset it if we find other bugs, but yeah, we love our timers around here, it seems.
We love our timers. And what specific Trello timer do we have?
Trello timers?
Remember, we have our alarm that goes off at 9 a.m. Central. I think it's 10 a.m. where we are literally, okay, like being honest here, does everybody want like real straightforward honesty? Like I'm not here, I'll speak for myself. Grace can speak for herself. I don't love, why I'm a systems gal now is because I wasn't for a really long time in life. And I will tell you guys, I was overweight, I was broke, and life seemed really chaotic. And when I started to organize my life, like I was always a clean person and I was always a go-getter. But everything, like even when I used to email leads years ago, like, I mean, I was 19, 20, emailing 100 leads a day. Like, this is who I am. I was like committed to making money and to making my dreams come true. And, even then though, it was just all over. There was like no tracking. So as technology has advanced and as I've advanced as a human, I hope, I have created a lot of systems around a lot of things, but the automation ones are awesome. But I just want to give some encouragement to anybody out there. If it makes you feel a little like, and even overwhelmed of knowing where to start, I have been there. And in fact, I do sometimes feel a certain feeling about Trello, but it's the same feeling that I have felt around checking my bank account or checking something else. And you know what? The pool guy just came here. Grace, why don't you tell them about your feelings about that? And I'm going to let the dogs in. It's like, everybody listen. I told everybody I have a live stream at this time of day, and my house cleaners and my pool guy are all showing up now, and I have dogs. So Grace is an amazing host. Please tell them like maybe some of your feelings around Trello. I'll be
No,
back.
I can get it. I'll also take a second on the timers because I remembered for a little bit, I would have on my Google Calendar, it would go off every single day. We'll check in for Tiana. It's 9 a.m. Central. For me, it'd be 10 a.m. Central. Yes, no, excuse me, 10 a.m. Eastern. I'm thinking time zone wise. But anyway, every single day during business hours, I would have my Google Calendar alert go off and say, hey, it's time to check in. And then we'll go on Trello. And I had to do this for maybe about 2 months to make it a direct habit. Like we get ready, we wake up, we have our water, we have our to-do list ready to go, but then we sit down and we open Trello. And it was a little annoying because annoying in a good way, because I like to have my calendar a little clean, though it every single day I would see it pop up like, hey, it's time to check in, it's time to check in. And then after 2 months, it became a habit. So then I was able to sit down and didn't have to have the alarm anymore. Not if we're gonna go good old classical conditioning. It was like I saw it's 10 o'clock, I automatically knew, sit down, you've got the timer. So we do like our timers, but I loved Trello. I had been using it even before working with Tiana. I had just used it to kind of categorize some of my life areas. I would kind of branch off into different areas, and we'll kind of go into this. You can go really big picture, you can hone in on the details, and that's why we really like it.
Love it. I'm assuming I heard some of this, but
I
yeah.
talked about timers, setting a habit that I had it go off every day for about 2 months until it was like
Until it was
it's
just
instant.
ingrained.
Yes,
And
and
I was
then
saying right before this call, like how I was like, why did I get off the Trello thing? Well, like my phone had died and I didn't have them for like a week. And then I didn't reset all my timers into my new phone as I've had it. And it's crazy to me how like, even though I didn't realize how much they were helping me, they were helping me. Can you hear my dog barking? I just love that.
no,
Like,
it's not, the mic isn't picking it up, so you're good.
amazing. 1 second. No, it's just an interesting thing. I love working from home because my dogs are here and because I can make food or I can sit outside by my pool. But part of it is also that there are workers who do come to my home. And it is interesting how it tends to be when I'm doing a live stream. So, to that, I say, let's continue on. So, I'm going to share my. Okay. This reminds me of the days when my kids were really young. Like my daughter would run beside me. One day she literally ran beside me, went out the back door, was naked. She was like 3 at the time, and literally was like, I want to pee in the yard. And then she like pulls herself forward and is like peeing behind me as I'm live streaming. And I'm just like, I mean, what?
I
So
think that takes the cake in a lot of live stream embarrassing moments.
yeah, you know, it's funny though. I did have a client who we promised we'll get to Trello, who was like, she said that she actually hired me because she'd been watching me for a while and she'd see my little wild child Coral in the background all the time and me trying to like maneuver. And she's like, you know what? If she can still do her business and also maintain like her, excuse me, like calmness, like she's the coach for me. I'm gonna take a sip of water really quick. Okay, let's share this screen and let's get started.
Yes.
Okay. Our first one, I'll take the first one. So our these are 7 ways we use Trello to scale our business and hit deadlines. And we actually have them arranged over here. We're not going to go in detail into all this. We just kind of want to give you ideas. We may have a Trello thing. Right now we do not sell any of this. This is just to help you guys think about organizing, getting systems together. And Grace, will you actually take the first one about our 7-figure systems and tasks to scale, like kind of walking through kind of how we overview our whole business through this
Absolutely.
process?
So this is probably the best zoom out image you will get. This is the overview of all of the branches that we have. I guess you're looking at the tree as a total. All of the other things on the side are branches, but this is basically the entire tree of what makes everything up. We have, if you go from the left moving over, we have the business setup. So we have all of our financial accounts. You have to have those in order. The financials, the branding. I always geek out every time Tiana does a branding session. I love them. I love her systems on that. Her creative systems, which almost sounds like they counteract each other, but they don't, which is why I love them. And then business mission and values. You got to have this. And we have other points like this scattered throughout our Trello board. Systems to automate. We love our funnels here. Can't grow without sales.
Yeah.
Marketing, monetization, and then how many more are over? We have a few more. Yep, customer service, affiliate income, and merchandise. I forgot how many we had, and I was like, okay, they just
So
keep going and
many.
going, like ending credits, like this.
And I think this is like important to help people to understand, like when they're getting started, like you don't have to have all these pieces in place. And like our systems actually help people get those initial, or like whether you're already in business, like some people come to us, they're already 6, 7, 8, 9-figure earners and they want another stream of income. So we really focus on systems. We're going to talk about that. But we created this to help people understand the big picture about the pieces like the financial setup, which we do not help people with, too, but just so it's awareness, right? Because sometimes if you have a list, it's like we can tell our clients, hey, do you have your accountant? Have you filed your DBA or your LLC? Here's a website. So we do tools and referrals, but this at least helps people understand, okay, maybe it's not time for affiliate income and merch. And the reason this is at the end is really, unless somebody knows who you are and you've got thousands and thousands and even 100,000 people on your email list, these things are going to be difficult to make money at. So we really help people also prioritize, where are you now? Where do you want to go? But what do we need to do to get the cash flow coming?
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice. And it helps you remember. And some of these have links and different things like that. We're actually building this out for ourselves as well as others. So it's good to always think big picture. What's our second one? Our second one is daily, weekly, quarterly goals. We're just going to go through this together. So here's our daily, weekly, quarterly goals. This is the one that I do think gives us both a little bit of like, we have a lot to do, and that's why it's important to look at it every day. So when that Trello timer goes off at 9 a.m., this is where we start. What are your thoughts on this, Grace?
Again, this is like why I like Trello. So we start big picture and we keep going in. So on the left here, we have, on the far left, we have our yearly goals. You always have to keep your goals. Tiana she's done several, especially every time it seems like we come together as a team on Thursdays, we talk about vision, we talk about goal setting, and then what you're doing from that. So we keep our eye on the prize, our yearly goals, we've got quarterly goals, breaking them down even more. And then from that, we've got our monthly, but we really like to take it week by week of what do we need this week to hit our goals? What posts are we talking about? What sales goals need to happen. So I will ignore everything on the right for about 2 minutes and stick with the stuff on the left of what really needs to happen.
Yeah. And we also have like ideas. We put public relations on here because we realized like we'd kind of been falling short in the area, because Grace has been with me for about 1.5 years. So there was a lot of training because I wanted somebody who could run most of the business without me, and we're getting there, and it takes a lot of time. So then as we've built more systems and launched these products and systemized public relations, getting featured on other people's blog, podcast, things like that. This is important. And we have whole resource things in different areas. Like it's not just a to-do right here, like in Google Drive. And another thing I like with this, like let's say I did want to actually go and attach a file that I do have, which I haven't done yet in here, we could actually attach like our podcast list of contact information so that like, let's say every Thursday, if we put that on our list, both of us have access to this. You can add members to it. So like there's Tiana, there's Grace, and we can make sure it's there. And let's say we were doing a big launch, we're like, hey, we want to get on 10 podcasts scheduled out for this quarter, or for the next, 3 to 4 months, because a lot of podcasts and TV shows and things like that book out in advance. So we could say, okay, let's go for 10. Here's a list of 100. We can close 10 minimum. So we go to town, right? So you can do those big pushes, and having something like Trello here is just awesome to stay on track for big and small.
Oh, yeah. And then you see we break it down daily. And this is again where we have to be like, okay, one day at a time.
One day at a time, baby. One day at a time. And there were some, like, I will tell you, because I'm a little bit of a yeah, we can get everything done by Friday. I'm also just still learning, like, because I'm totally like a little bit eternal optimist. And it sometimes bites me in the bottom. But I think ultimately, because I also can let go of if that didn't happen. But why I like it is we can be like, hey, like we just went through, we had updated our sales PDF and redone our packages the last 2 weeks, something that had been on our list for the summer, but we were launching a course. So once the course was launched, we were like, we need to circle back to that. So it had literally kept moving to our like daily to-do list. And we finally did it. And we closed our largest contract ever a Friday, and we have a follow-up with another one who's interested in that same large contract. So it works, friends. And I think we really only put things on here that are pushing the needle forward on either publicity or sales and marketing and big picture for our business. And the thing I want to say over here is the reason we led with the 7 ways we use Trello before we talk about our incredible client systems. I really believe in the methodology because I didn't used to until the last couple years, and it's changed my business. Actually tripled my income last year, after being stuck at a certain level for like 5 years, was when I started to put myself at the top of the business priority list. So if you'll notice, even the listings we put here, 7-figure systems, daily, weekly, quarterly, our value ladder and products. And Grace has been so instrumental in that. At the end, we're going to show you how we use it for clients and kind of give you just a super brief overview. These are kind of our industry secrets. Like we're not, but it's our deadline calendar for ourselves and clients and funnel checklists for clients. But notice that we started big picture for yourself. So that's just a little clue, by the way. It's a big clue. Do you want to walk them through our paid offers, Grace?
Sure, let's go. So yeah, this is, if you've been around the business world, this is sometimes called our value ladder or your offer ladder. So this is kind of like the step-by-step we walk people through. Sometimes people will enter in on a different step. Like sometimes they'll go automatically from a post to, oh, I know I want to work with you, and do our larger scale packages. But this is kind of an overview. Yeah, our 100K and 100 days. That's our big baby right there. It's like that.
Here's our small one. This is how easy it is to go in order. We were actually updating this before because of this call. And we will, yeah, like we move it up. So this is where we've been auditing like our processes, our systems, going from free to this is like a $30, $50. This is a $97. So from left to right is typically the price points. And it's pretty exciting. This is really there. And then we have extra things. Our new program, 100K in 100 days. We've not filled in the card elements yet. But sold out, same thing. It's a course, so it's pretty like, here's the link, but it's pretty simple, which is awesome. Automate to dominate. This is just so nice so that we all can stay on the same track with our links too. And one thing, like I'll tell Grace, like she's so great. I'll be like, hey, by the way, Grace, we need to do this. I'm like, we should put our links to each of these things here, but even have a linking. We have it in our other in our other files in Google and text things where it has a link to all our offers because we have sales pages and all this. So part of seeing it all here though is like when you're auditing your courses or your system. So it's not just for us, it's also like, hey, like maybe a client has a request. Like we do take client requests and it helps us make our products better. And so we will come in here and be like, oh, we need to get that thing together that person requested because we've heard it from 3 people now. And so, okay, let's come into sold out and be like, okay, we need to add a new video with the new weekly calendar, which we were talking about earlier underneath another page. And that's kind of how simple it is to add a card. And then you click on it and you can add the members. How does this help you, Grace, kind of like stay on track and think about the big picture of our, our 7-figure club programs?
Because if you for me, I can get really, I don't want to say overwhelmed in the details, but that's why I will have to look at our big goals and then address everything else. But with this system, you can literally walk or like write every step possible that you have down. If it's like, hey, I need to add a headline, then you get that like dopamine kick of the cross off. But you see all of the big chunks that you have, and you continually break it down into smaller chunks. And then assign deadlines, assign if somebody else needs to take it over, or a bug comes up and you're able to put something in the middle. Like it just, for me, it helps to see the whole picture and then all these other details that come into line. That's just how my brain works personally. Everybody's a little different, but it works for me. So
it's the same for me. And I think I think like probably one day we probably need to have somebody who does not think like us on this team. It's probably going to be like, what are they called? Like those COOs, like a chief operating officer. But I think the limitation of me personally, because I'm a creative, I'm a singer songwriter. Grace comes from music too, and she's creative. I I heard it from a teacher one day. His name's Livingston Taylor. He's James Taylor's brother. And I was in music college and he said, if like, don't always focus so much on like improving your weaknesses. Instead, focus on your strengths so much that can your greatest strength overcome your greatest weaknesses. And one of my greatest strengths is making money and connecting with people and really offering them something. Like we built all these systems, which I'm excited to go into depth into our offers, so you can really see the depth of the to-dos and the systems. And these are not just checklists to have checklists. Like I built these after I'd already made multiple 6 figures for myself and 7, 8 figures for clients. Like this was so that we could help more people faster and better. And so that's not my natural gifting. I don't think it is. My natural gifting would be like singing about it or just talking to people about it. No, I promise you, I'll just do whatever it takes to make it get done. And I mean it, and I will. But when we then have a system and when we have it listed out, it's also helped us because we can say, yes, we can do that for you. But that's out of the scope of work, which you've hired us for, but you could buy this other program. So it's really radically helped me and us as a team because I used to do whatever it took, but it was a lot of times outside the scope of work. And if I had not listed out or communicated to a client what that really was, I'm going to do it because that's the kind of ethical person I am. But essentially I was just doing way too many calls, way too many to-dos. And it's been really helpful from a monetary standpoint as well. So I don't agree with don't work on your weaknesses because I think you should. And actually he was talked about, he's not a great piano player. He's a great songwriter and he's still to that day. And at that time, I think he was like 60, 65. And he said he takes like almost daily piano lessons for years. So that's not his strength, but he still works on it. But ultimately though, your greatest strength is way heavier than you working on the weakness, but it doesn't mean you don't look at it. But our systems were causing us a lot of bottlenecks in the system. In fact, on onboarding partially, but mostly offboarding clients so that there were clear, it's finish time. And so you can either rehire us for a new thing, or we can bid you adieu and launch you, or you can be in our 7-figure club group coaching program. But you have to have like tie the bow on systems. So the Trello board has also really helped us with tying the bow, but also getting through the bottleneck so that things just flow.
Mhm. Well, what's helped me with this mindset is addressing that these it can be a living, breathing thing. That
Mhm.
even though it feels secure, if it needs to be changed, we're not tied to an organization of 1,000, 2,000, even 50 people yet.
Yeah.
But it can be a living, breathing thing. So as we're finding different bottlenecks, as we're finding different points where maybe new problems are coming up, we've switched software. We've been using Trello now for at least this entire year, if not a
Yeah.
little bit longer than that. But still, we're looking in and we're seeing as we're adding in new things, how can we make this better? And then through that, our systems have to up level so we can actually accelerate and grow within those means.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not a natural, but it makes things so much more natural. I think it's always interesting how right now I'm in the middle of a bodybuilding competition, and like when my trainer came here and she really was like, no, we're eating what's on that meal plan. We're not taking anything off and we're not putting anything on it. And she literally like showed me to pack that food the night before, the morning up, put those containers in the fridge, and that's what I'm eating from all day. And I will tell you, it was very constricting, but then once I got in used to it, it was very freeing. And it's not that there's not flexibility. Like she would say, like, oh, like if you want half your yogurt and half the apple, like you don't have to eat the one thing with it, but like you can open even all the containers and take a few bites of each for 4 times, or you could just eat one thing at a time. But the point is, this is your food, these are your calories, these are your macros. And for us with funnels, sometimes depending on the client, it's a perfect analogy. We know there's those certain steps, and sometimes they are in different orders because like and also a lot of people hire us for more than one funnel at once. It's usually a website, a free offer funnel, a sales qualification funnel. And if some people need to make money right away, so we're still going to get all three funnels, but we'll put one funnel up first to help them make cash flow while we're also then working on the other ones. It's like the food. So even though with checklists and things, you could look at it like, oh, that's constraints, but really constraints can be freedom when used properly. So cough again.
No, I was gonna say it'd be like a good boundary because you'd have your non-negotiable. You have this point, if we want to go full on, it's like you have this point in your life that you will not cross. You'll build this boundary around it, but there's still freedom in that boundary. But on that positive note, maybe you're building healthy boundaries for yourself if you want to talk about I love that example in the case of food. Like you have this goal, but there's still many ways that you can still be working within that. So I don't know, I love that. That was good. I wanted to highlight that again.
I love it. And sometimes it's just temporary. So sometimes we tell clients too, like, we were just redoing the Seven Figure Club guidebook right before the Trello stuff. And it was about following the leader until, and I heard it said from like a multimillionaire mentor of mine years ago. I didn't work with her one to one, it was through a group thing. And she said, though, like, you follow that person, like you had to block things out. And this was even before all the things have gotten as big as they are now, like with social media, and you follow them until, and the until is dot dot dot, like essentially until you hit that goal. So if you're saying like you're following a coach, and the thing is like having these systems and following these systems, you can get success so much faster because you're not doing like what everybody else does where they jump from thing to thing, and you're just essentially starting over and then wondering, and then usually just people give up. So we're also encouraging people like, let's follow through on these systems. So let's breeze through these 7 things. So we're at daily. Okay, I'm going to breeze through a couple because let's go to the funnel checklist for clients because I think people are going to flip out and be like, oh man, this is so epic. So we talked about the value ladder, the weekly, quarterly goals, or big systems. We also have a brief thing we'll show you quickly. This is a big training point. This is our daily post, marketing, calls to action. This is essentially a lot of the top secret, amazing things that I have learned over the years that I've been training Grace in. And I'm not going to show it too long because it's secret. But Grace, what do you think about this whole our marketing and posting and the style, like the things we've been working together on?
It helps me a lot because again, I can work with this checklist and I'll start off. It's kind of become a habit now. I'll have my own personal post of these things I want to bring in. So it's like my morning routine of getting my head, body, and brain right. And then getting for the marketing and sales. And then I have my own community manager list, and then there's different things of funnel building. So whatever the day needs is a checklist. But on the marketing part itself, it's helped me so much. Tiana has a
We do
printable
have a
checklist
daily
she'll give out
marketing
to her
method of
clients.
operations.
Yes, yes. And that's
It's
I
just
love
a
it. So
little something.
you're never in a position where you're like, what do I need to do? Like you
Right.
always know what to do and when to do it, which it's not constraining at all. It's very freeing because
Mhm.
you're not left to pick up all these random tasks that
Right.
don't really need to be done. You're pushing yourself towards the place that you're trying to go.
Yeah. Well said. Okay, then I'm gonna the launching, just to show you real quick, when we were launching A2D, we had our own whole board, which is full of stuff. This was just for the launch, and I'd already built most of the course at this point, even. Like, it's just a lot comes up when you launch. So we definitely put things in marketing and course to do and email automation. This was a lifesaver. We also have a systemized launch formula that this only goes with our high ticket clients. This is about a 50K funnel package because it's not just a funnel. We give you all these different bits because what we do is we're specialists at helping people do the Facebook challenges, but there's a bunch of different pieces that need in place. And we don't just give you these to-do lists. Like, let's say Facebook scheduled posts, we actually make the posts for you and we template them for you. So then when you launch again a couple months after that, it's like done. Like, we give you a Google document. This is like the simplest version. You get our personal best converting funnels for this. What are your thoughts on like the Facebook funnel? You've done a few launches with me, Grace. It's a big job.
Yeah, we used to keep everything, and we still do. We go back and we do both. We keep all the links in a Google file and then big picture here. But when it came to the Facebook groups, there were so many things that had to be scheduled and so many moving parts that when you have a system like this, again, you're never in a position where like, okay, it was this done. You know that it's done. You know when it was done. I don't know. I loved it. It's all in one place, organized. It's wonderful. It's amazing.
And I'm going to jump to like part of that piece. I was going to do it at the end, the calendar, right? Like, so all these links, like, do you guys see how this is like January 28th or whatever date? The calendar, which is our seventh one, and then we'll go back to the sixth point in a minute for our grand finale here. Right now we don't have a ton on our docket right now because it's the beginning of the week and we were kind of just scheduling things out. But if we went to like, should we go to like October? There was a
Yeah, like
bunch more
mid-October,
here. Yeah,
September.
October, the launch, and
It was
September.
mid-month.
Oh, there was a bunch in September. So like if we go to this week, like you can see like we had a lot to do because this was the week before our launch week of the live streams of Facebook funnel, and there was just a lot. And in fact, looking at raffle ideas, I need to still mail some goodie cards to people. So there's a lot to handle when you're a small team, but the I would say the subtitle to this whole live stream is like, okay, ways we use Trello to scale our business and hit client deadlines as a small but mighty team, because this is just our Trello systems. We have not showed you our Google systems, our WhatsApp systems, our and go high level. And Mighty Network. So we use and Canva. So whatever software that we are choosing to use in our business, we are deciding to master it, to stick with it. Otherwise, we don't want to use it. And I always try things out personally before I even tell Grace about it. And I usually try something for months before I ever tell a client. And I must have had more success with the new thing than any old thing, but I really don't like to change software as much.
Mhm.
Anything on these calendars?
Nope, but I'm glad they're done.
Let's walk them through. So we did 7-figure systems. We did daily, weekly, quarterly, our value ladder and products, the social media marketing SOPs, the launching, and the deadlines and calendars. It helps us stay on track. We saved the biggest one. We're going to put it at the end because let's be honest, when you see what we build for people on this finale one, this is a lifesaver. This was really why we even started the whole thing. And it was to make sure, like we talked about, we were not bottlenecking clients. Like, we weren't the problem, because sometimes we were the problem. I would not say now. We really figured out some things. We looked at it, we heard feedback, and we created some really, really, really good systems, which has made life a lot easier. Wouldn't you agree, agree, Grace? Like getting these systems up in Mighty Networks and in Go High Level, it's made life really easy and fun.
It was also funny as we were putting this together, all of these random issues that we hadn't experienced before, and they were the most small tasks. Like, so for some reason there was something going on with a password where we're like, what the heck? But then again, so it's like that, I don't know, I'm stuck on that living, breathing thing of as we were building these systems, problems would come up of, okay, we need to add this, we need to add this, but it helped us find those bottlenecks, open them up, put a different system in, and then here we are.
And I think like for any of you coaches, course creators out there, so like when I did, I am a professional singer-songwriter, and when you are an artist, you are your brand. And, you know, I learned this very young, and that's very difficult sometimes because people are extremely critical of you and you're just a human being. And that's why I don't believe in criticizing celebrities or politicians. I mean, I don't believe in slandering and talking about anybody. Not that I've not been guilty of it in the past, but it's really like a value for me. And part of that is like, I have been on stage since I was really young by choice. And really all I wanted to do from that was to connect with other humans. But it's interesting how people can turn on you and start to criticize you. So when I moved and transitioned to full-time marketing in my early 20s, because I was doing marketing part of the music business, and then I switched to a full marketing company and got my master's in it. And why I'm saying all this is for a big reason we're about to talk about, is that when they criticize your voice or even a song or even your body and your face, it's so personal. And I don't think it's always good. And it's good to take critiques, but some people just use that to be mean. And in my business, I found it, and it's happened there too, where people are just being overly critical. But the thing that I've been able to do with the courses and with the coaching and with these systems is to say, look, like that might have hurt to hear because I really do want to do a good job. But is there any part of it that's true? And any part of it that we could improve. And sometimes some of those clients we've had to fire because they were disrespectful and they did not honor our boundaries. But after that happens, and Grace can attest to this because it's only happened a couple of times since Grace has been with me a year and a half. It doesn't happen often. And that's part of why any new program we do, just side note, is only like 8 weeks-ish to 12 max. Like I don't do super long contracts because we want to get to know people before we do a longer contract. But when it happens, even if we have to have boundaries and fire a client and get them off our roster, we do still assess, hey, was any of that criticism anything we can improve in? And sometimes it is. And was that, it doesn't mean that like that was why we had to separate ways, because it often isn't. Because also we've had really cool clients who've been like, oh, hey, I could really use some more help in the onboarding process. Like I really don't know where I'm going. And if we hear enough people say, I really don't know what my next steps are, to me as a business owner, I feel like I have a room to grow. And there's a song I wrote actually called Room to Grow. You guys can search it on Spotify. But the point of it is there really is always room to grow. And being in business, and when you're putting your whole heart into all of it, it still absolutely feels personal to me when somebody says something. And I've stayed up through weekends before when I heard something building even a mini course onboarding sequence because I like didn't want to go into the next Monday with it like that. But sometimes some things take longer to build. But the heart of what we do here is that we truly want to be the best service providers to coaches, course creators, investors, educators who want this 7-figure stream of income over here. That's what we do. And so we're just really trying to make our courses, our playbooks, our live streams more educational. But sometimes that means it does hurt my feelings. And it also sometimes causes me to be like, man, why didn't I do it better? But sometimes you do your best. And then when you know to do better, you do that. And that's what I'm trying to live by. What are your thoughts on that, Grace?
I think that's good. It's actually funny. I was having a conversation with someone about that, of that fine line between recognizing there's always a part to play. There's always like what percentage I'm trying to remember the exact quote where it's like even if you were I don't want to butcher it because it was so good, but it was something like never discount that 10% wrong that you might have done, even if there was like 100% and it's never a 50-50 fault. technically. Again, I'm trying to pull it back. But anyway, it's like this thing of looking back where you went wrong, looking back with this personal responsibility, because we can't control how the other person's going to react. We can't control what the other person's going to do, but we can continue to move forward. We can continue, if we're going to talk about systems, continue to improve things so that these mistakes do not happen again, versus just sweeping it under the rug and saying, oh, it's no big deal. Keep pushing.
Yeah. Just being open to all of it, right? Whether it's us or sometimes it's like, and then sometimes we're like, okay, how do we up level so we don't attract people like that into our business anymore? So it's all of those things. And I will say, like, having a team, having people in my life, like I have a mentor, a spiritual mentor who helps me with my mindset and like really bigger picture and truth. Grace is such an amazing person that I get to wake up to. We've actually not met in person yet. We've just been doing this on Zoom and we keep trying to plan something. It's going to happen very soon. It'll probably be impromptu and perfect. And believe me, photo shoots on the agenda. And we still have one more thing we want to share on Trello, but I just want to say, like, having good people in your corner, and on your team, even if it's just one main person, like we contract out, I have a Facebook ads guy and I have someone who sometimes will take a couple sales calls for me. And I have a SEO expert that we consult. Like you can have contractors, but I think having somebody on your team has been a real game changer for me personally on going through all this, having another objective eye on things. Sometimes, like her and I sometimes aren't objective about this if we're too, but usually she's pretty objective with me if I'm dealing with something like on it. And then also two heads are better than one if both people are cool. So I will say, like, it's a game changer for any of my solopreneurs out there, like when it's the right time to add somebody and really wait for the right fit. Like that's why these systems are so handy. Like I did a lot on my own for all these years. And I had funnel contract workers, but I've never had somebody like what Grace has done. And so I would say, like, a part of this system, especially even just with one team member, you need an operating system, because if you're going to outsource some of this stuff and train somebody, like they need to know what they're doing. That's what I would say about that. Has it been more helpful once we finally like got these things done? Let's take them through our funnel checklist for clients. But would you say, like if we go to our design and coaching clients and these checklists, would you say, like, I mean, this helped lay things out better, right?
It did, because you knew what you were looking for,
Yeah.
versus, because it was funny. I'll tell a quick story really fast of coming in. Tiana already had so many systems that she was constantly referencing each funnel, and I was trying to learn them really, really quickly. And then she's like, "Oh, we're gonna bring you in Trello," and it was so nice as a new team member to have this onboarding system of, okay, this is what this means. This is how much it costs. This is what we're gonna do with it. This is the marketing plan, and then same thing for this funnel and this funnel. So even if it's for your own personal reference of this is what we do for this project. But anyway, as just a new team member, it was nice to have that.
And we've been growing it, but yeah, and it was good for me too, because like, again, for me, it's actually meant less work because I was typically doing, when I started listing all these things out, I was like, oh, this I cannot be selling all this for this price. We need to separate this. So we're going to walk you through real quick and then wrap this up. I know it's been a longer one, but you know what? Some podcasts are 90 minutes. So we're going to keep this under an hour. This is our system, each bit of things we sell. So there was my value ladder. That's like programs I sell. This is different. We do sell these, but these are our builds for our clients. I'm going to briefly go through it. Like this is all the steps needed for just the Lux branding piece. So every client we work with, typically this is included. So is strategy and sales offer creation. And this is all these steps. And there's actually more than that. Like these actually scrolls, which is really nice. So as they get done, we actually duplicate these boards and we move them to client lists. So this is one of my client lists in a big package we're working on with a client who's worked with. It'll probably, by the time this is done, it'll be a 4-month or 5-month contract. So having our offer. So when I tell Grace, I'll say, Grace, can you please go in and add Ani to the new thing? It's onboarding, Lux branding, strategy, website, branded website, sales qualification funnel, and offboarding. Can you please go and make him like duplicate this, delete the extra ones? And so what are your thoughts on all this? This is kind of like the grand finale. These are all the different funnels we sell and all the different steps required for each funnel. So when people say, oh, can you just do the next funnel? Just so you also can see behind the scenes on this. Like if you have a course funnel, that's actually totally different than a Facebook challenge funnel. And it's totally different than a sales qualification funnel. And each one of these things are a ton of different steps. And we sometimes can take some copywriting, but typically it's all very different. And that's why we charge per funnel and usually have custom packages. Any thoughts on sharing all this? Why this is like such a just, yeah, what are your thoughts on it, Grace, before we
I
wrap up
think
this
you've kind
call?
of covered it all. I can wrap it up by saying, um, we treat people like they're human, so everything is pretty much custom. So it's like
Yeah.
we basically, I don't know, I'll give an analogy just to, if you've never used Trello before, this is basically how we're using it. You start off with the file, aka it's like we give you a basket, and then we take basically everything that we have on our shelf and we're like, okay, you need this, and you need this, and you need this, and we'll throw in a few extra things,
Yeah.
wrap it up all pretty. Here you go. That's basically how we use our Trello system of
Yeah.
this person needs this basket and this person needs this one. And but no, you pretty much wrapped it up really well. That's why we love Trello, everybody.
We love Trello. And yeah, we absolutely, when we put the client things in there, we'll sometimes go through, delete certain to-dos. But if we can come to the table and be thinking big picture per client, because we only take about 2 one-to-one clients a month, um, then that's how big of these jobs are. So we need that. But then on top of like why also we love it is it's not just for the clients. It would be worth it just for that. I mean, this is a $30 a month program when you have 2 teammates. Like, I mean, like that's ridiculously low amount of money for this. But it's more about why we led with. I just want to reiterate that we love with our own company, my own business and team members, because like if you just focus on serving clients, one, you won't have many clients, because if you don't have a whole board and plan for your daily marketing method, you will not have new sales. So where I just want to reiterate is like, serve your business first. Like it's the whole mom putting on the face mask before she helps her child in the airplane. And so for us, why we shared with you the ways we track our personal and business goals, and we do that. And the nice part about Trello is when we put those deadlines, I will say this is why one of those key features is when we put the date on any of those tasks, we then can look at the day that day and know, okay, we're going to try and get our business goals done here unless we have a launch that day. And we're going to then serve our clients between 11 to 3 that day or whatever our hours are. So that's what I would just say is like from all this would be like, have systems, start with just one board, figure out where your highest priority board that you personally need to make. You're smiling. Do you have an idea?
I'm just thinking of like the analogy of we're building and maintaining at the same time. But
Yes.
anyway, I was gonna tell a story
Building,
about the
learning, and earning. Like
Yeah,
essentially, yeah, like we had another idea today, for example, because we've been needing to audit our courses because we
that's what I
like
was thinking
built the
about.
one. Were you gonna say that? Go ahead.
No, I was starting to laugh because I was thinking anyway, as we're going through this, I'm like, this is what we need to do right now anyway.
Yeah,
But
I know, right? I know there was a couple to dos. I'm like, hey, Grace. I'm like, oh, we're both on here. It's fine. We'll remember it. Yeah, and it's just like there's always to do. So the other thing I would say is like, if you're just starting Trello, do not do this during your income producing hours. You need to create this board after you've done your morning marketing, after you've done your sales calls. If any of you are watching this and are interested in our overview of the Pinnacles board, that's one that I would sell. Any of the other ones I do not sell. Like these are literally industry secret strategies that even just systemizing the funnel builds is something that like I don't even hire funnel people on our team anymore. And even when they do, it's NDAs, like they cannot work with any of my clients. Like what we're talking about is 20 years of experience, even learning how to simplify and systemize. So the questions I'll leave a listener with would be, what in your like brain could you get out and systemize? Because what people buy are systems. Okay. They buy educational systems. Systems sell. You should write it down. And so if there's a way to systemize even simple things, how do you onboard clients? How do you offboard clients? Like these are questions you should be asking yourself and coming up with a system, because otherwise the whole wing it is messy and you're not going to make the money. I've never met a 7-figure earner who's does not have systems. That's what I would say. So any takeaways before we go, Grace? Any marching orders for anyone? Anything on your heart?
Yeah, no, I'll highlight that last thing as we're wrapping up of take care of what you need to take care of before you try to rebuild your foundation. Otherwise, it's going to be like as you're trying to build your business and rebuilding your foundation, it'll be like you're trying to host a house party, but your house is raised up when you're trying to fix that foundation. It's going to be chaotic, so don't do it. So, and it's also the mental thing of you'll get stuck in it because it's exciting. It's exciting because you're stuck in the mindset of potential and hope of, oh, this is what we can build, and it's so fun to stay in that. It's almost like the visionary standpoint of, oh, these are the systems that we want to do. But don't let your brain get all the dopamine. Don't let your self get all excited from just like writing the to-do list is all great, but actually getting it done. So I'll just highlight that of get what you need to get done, and then any extra time that you have, organize those files, organize your ideas. Otherwise,
after business hours, friends. I will tell you, all of you, it's 80% sales and marketing and 20% client customer service. And if you don't have customers, that 20% you could use on the Trello stuff. But if you think about it from a day to day, if you're working 9 to 5 on your business, let's say you're new, that means you need to work from like 9 to 3 on actually sales and marketing, and not too much content creation, because that can also be a procrastination situation. These are a lot of situations. So I just do want to encourage people, because I do see too many people get stuck. And like, I didn't do these things until after we were just having too many bottlenecks. So just also remember, when you are successful, there's always a long list of to-dos. That's just the truth. So you have to learn to prioritize. And that's also why I like Trello, because of deadlines. So we're teaching prioritization, schedule when you're going to do your Trello organization, but do not ever do it at 9 a.m, because no, you should be spending the first part of your day on sales and marketing. I'm a huge proponent of that. And get that off your plate, eat the frog first. That's what everybody who's like makes money. We do the same thing. Like sometimes, Grace, I've been training her, and she'll be like, I'm working on this one thing. And if I could call you, I'm like, no, Grace, right now we need to do sales and marketing. And it's okay, right? Because like we do get back to the other things.
No, it is a shift of priorities. And it's funny, is I was going to say something, but I didn't want to take off time through Trello, but all those like things in the red were things we had to push back because the important things actually came up, that, oh, we had this client fulfillment, or no, we have to keep going with sales and marketing. So all of these things that are important, but not at 100% necessary, just kept going boop, boop, boop over the course of however many days. But prioritizing, yes, that's been a fun ongoing conversation.
So much growth we both have had and will continue to have. But I love that you just said that. We're closing out, but like, this is the fun part of a podcast, right? Where you can actually have a real conversation. And what we're sharing is truly gold, friends. Like, this is stuff that it took me this long to really do it. And I do want to shorten the time frame for other people. I've been in business for 23 years. And I just am starting to master this. So don't feel bad. We want to encourage you, but don't do it during sales and marketing. But again, the nice part about the weekly way, we have our weekly stuff laid out and we just keep moving the deadline. It's at least it's on the deadline and on the roster, and we see it. And that is really important, because there's some things like even the merchandise, like today I finally ordered stickers. How long has that been on the roster? And the reason I did was I got invited. This is where it became now a deadline. The fitness competition, she's actually invited me to promote my brand for free. And if I have something to put in the goodie bag, and I was like, oh my goodness, what could get here in 1 week or less? And because other things take longer to create. And I was like, let's just get that sticker designed this morning and get it speed rushed shipped here. So, and then I can also pack it in my carry-on, and so when you have a deadline, yeah, the priorities shift. And then and that's why I also believe in setting deadlines for yourself, because it puts yourself in a pressure cooker, even if you don't feel ready, talking about the fitness competition and the things coming up. Like, I wouldn't be where I am if I didn't have that deadline though. So it's like deadlines are
I'm thinking of
important.
other stories of, I could get on that soapbox of when a like something important becomes a necessity, but yeah.
Yeah, you could do you have something that's in your head?
No, I can think of okay, there's this amazing, I won't spend too much time on this, but there's this amazing TED talk of what happens in the mind of a procrastinator. And it's like 15 minutes, but it is so funny because this guy is telling this story of like, as this deadline's approaching, like what goes, it's like there's characters in your mind. But anyway,
Yeah.
I can just think time and time again where I'll have a week to do something, and it's like the creativity will not come out, but it's like there's an hour or two before it's
Yeah.
due, and it's suddenly you're just typing, you're going, the ideas are coming, like where has this been all week? Why does it come now?
Yeah.
But it's something kicks in when it becomes a necessity. But yeah, that's just a fun side note of what happens to
Okay, so two things. So maybe on Wednesday, I know you already have the one thing, but maybe for tomorrow, for like Tech Tuesday, we could like defer tech and we could talk about, there's a great Alex Hormozy video that he goes in depth. And I don't know if it was even a short, but it was really good. And he said the same thing. And I'd like the procrastinator one. Maybe we could share both tomorrow in our solopreneurs group. So if anybody wants in our private Facebook group, just put Facebook group in the comments and Grace will go through and say hello, and we'll invite you to our private VIP Facebook group. But we share like way more in-depth stuff and different trainings. Grace goes live. My husband Eli goes live. Sergeant O talks about sales, marketing, follow through. But we also share like our favorite videos or entrepreneurs who are inspiring us, or what's going on in the tech world and the online world, and even how government is affecting us. And it's not a news story, and we're definitely not into negative Nancy stuff, but we are all interconnected right now. So it's nice to be a part of a group that wants to spin it positive, wants to succeed in whatever kind of things are going, even in a recession. Like, I just closed my largest contract of all time. Like, you get to create your reality, and we want to help you create a beautiful reality in your life and your business. But Alex Ramosi said, back to this and we'll close out. He said, like, when he's talking to an employee or a contract worker and they say like, oh, okay, I'll have that to you by Friday. And he's like, why? He's like, why don't you have it to me today? And in fact, why don't you have it to me in the next hour?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, essentially, like, it's that whole saying where like, when you pack right before a trip. And so like, yeah, knowing your priorities, when do you stop, drop, and do something? And that's a discernment issue that people are lacking, honestly. And I don't think it's always on purpose. That's also where knowledge comes in. So there's knowledge, knowing which things, and there's then discernment. Once you have the knowledge, and if you're not able to discern what your priorities are, like, you got to take a look at that. But yeah, I just thought that was great. And I've really applied that to mine. Like, well, can I do it right now? Like, even the stickers, I was up at like 3:30 this morning. I was about to go to the gym, but my trainer had already messaged me because she's an hour ahead and she gets up at 3:30 in the morning. So I was like, oh my goodness. And I was like, I'll do the stickers later. And then I was like, you know what? I'm still just drinking my coffee before the gym. Let me drink my coffee and just make these stickers right now. And I got them ordered in like less than 30, 45 minutes. And so sometimes, like, when you're just like, this has to happen right now, and this is what I'm doing right now, and we can do so much in short amounts of time. I think most people spend more time thinking about the thing they're going to do. So get in Trello, make your to-do list, get going. And if any of you, we'll let Grace pitch what should they do if they've seen all these amazing boards and all these funnels. What if they're like, oh my goodness, these are the real deal people. How do I get on your roster? How do I get these funnels? How do I automate this?
If
What would you
you
say?
want, yes, if you are like, if anything sparked your interest, if anything went off in your mind of this is the solution I need, this is what I've been looking for, we're gonna treat you like a human being because you are. So there's something that you need, we'll help you find it. But if there's a solution that came to your head today, just put solution in the comments and we'll get to you, we'll inbox you. And yeah, we'll get you on board with our systems. That's our keyword of the day, systems. But put solution in the comments if you're excited, if you're open. So
Yeah. And you can always go to tianasmithcoaching.com. It's TIANA Smith, SMITH coaching.com. And we've got free offers and we've got our courses listed there. And just reach out to us. Like, we're super easy to get a hold of. If you have money and you have a need, we will help you. And honestly, also, if you just have a comment, if you liked what we're sharing, we also want to hear from you who, whether you are or aren't in a position to buy, if you liked this, if there's other things you want us to train on, you saw these lists of things. We really are wanting to grow our YouTube, our audience online, and we know that that's done by listening to what people truly want. So we'd love to hear, what do you want more of? And we will definitely be making videos. And if you let us know your name, we'll even message you when the new training is up. Cool. We will see you soon. It's been awesome. It's Tiana Smith and
Grace Plata.
And this is our, whatever episode it is, we'll put it in the episode numbers. It's 11 or 12, I think. Master your mind to master your business online. And we'll see you soon. Bye. Bye, Grace.